list, as you know, is a mutable data type in Python. The content of list can be enclosed in pair of square braces. So a list also has the similar kind of features. It can contain integer, it can contain real numbers, it can contain strings, it can contain anything in mix and match manner. That means a string can contain any kind of data type within it. So here the examples are very less. We can include within a list, we can include tuple. Within a list, we can include another list. Within a list, we can include dictionaries. We can include, right? This is first example of list similar to the tuple example which you saw. There is no difference in this example of list as compared to the earlier example of tuple. So it is identical example. That means we can extract individual elements of list. We can perform operations on individual elements of the list. So this is the same example which you already saw in tuple. So we can do exactly the same thing with list also. We can extract individual elements. We can extract with the help of index also. This is also similar example which you have already seen in case of tuple. We can exactly the same operations we can perform, right? So I'm not emphasizing on this example at all. This is also similar example where we are doing the repetition on the values of list similar to tuple. We have no difference up to this point. Concatenation of lists. Now, in case of list, you don't have that kind of issue which was there in case of tuple. Basically, all the values which are directly assigned by default are tuple. So round brackets there or not there. If you have group of values, they'll be treated as a tuple. So A is equal to 1, 2, 3 is a tuple. Whereas for list, it is essential for you to put square brackets around it. So when you have single valued content of list, there is no issue. So this example I created just to show you the difference. In case of tuple, if I would have done this example, I would have placed S along with the comma here. Whereas in case of list, there is no issue because square bracket is the default, is not the default brackets which are available with group of values. Then this is the example where you can see the mutability. This did not work in case of tuple. So this example is especially created so that you can understand the major difference between the tuple and list. So within the list content, at any point of time, any element can be extracted and modified. So in this case, you can see that original content of the list was 23, 45, 67, 78, and I modified the content of A0 as 38, A2 as 65, and then later on, I further added 2 in each of the element in the list. So you can see the original content is this, modified content is this, and then further modified content is this. So you can display it one by one by extracting it here, or you can just display the entire content of list at the bottom. You will see the difference. So this program will not work in tuple, whereas this will work in case of list. This is where you can clearly see the understanding of mutability and immutability. The same example did not work in case of tuple. Next, membership. Membership works exactly the same way in both of them. So if you have for S in stock, stock is containing A 2532C, and item contains A and B, and values contain 253261. So if I say for S in stock, so it will start from A, it will check whether A is present in item or not. A is present in item, so it will display A is an item. And then as you have this if statement independent, it will check S is in value or not. It is not finding it in value, so that is why it is going to display A is not in values. Next, when we are checking 25, 25 is not found in item, and that is why no display will come. But here, when it will check S is in values, it is going to display 25 is in values. Same will go for 32 also. But when C will come, it will not find C in item, but the second if statement's else part will operate here. So it will display C is not in values. I hope this example clarifies the membership operation. Next, we move to len, list, and append. Now, append, you didn't see any example in case of tuple because it does not work there, and that is why we have created a separate example for list, in which originally you had 23, 56, and 74, 34 as the content. Along with length, I'm displaying this. This is a tuple. I typecast it to convert it into list. So when I display, it is going to be displayed as a list. Next, with the help of append, we are adding 25 in it. So 25 will be added. The length of the list will be increased by 1. It will turn into 4. At the end, we are appending END. And when we append END, END will be appended at the end. And then 5 is going to be the size of list. Next, in continuation of the previous example, we are again going with append method. Here, the originally A contains 25, 56, 34. B contains 45 and 29. So that both of them are displayed. So A dot append, when we do, just notice when I am adding a list with another list, what is going to happen? The second list which is getting appended in the previous list, it will be appended as a single value. Single value means this is one value. 45, 29 will be counted as one value. And that is why the length of this particular list is going to be 4 and not 5. Next, if I say for I in A, I check if I is list. If it is not, I'll display that as it is. So it is displaying 25, then it is displaying 56, then it is displaying 34. As soon as it will encounter the last element of the list as list, it is going to display that and it will terminate the line. And at the end, you will see hash. So the purpose of this particular example was to show you that whenever a list is appended to another list, it is going to be added as a single element. It is not added as multiple elements, right? So if I display in this case A 0, 1, 2, 3. If I display A3, it is going to display 45 and 29 together as a list. It will not display only 45. If you want to extract 45 from here, you have to write A3 in the first square bracket and 0 in the second square bracket, so that you only see 45 from the content. Okay. Now, let's understand the difference between append and extend. When we are appending, I told you that it is going to be adding individual value, whether it is a value of integer type, float type, string type, or a list type. It will be added as a single element. When we are extending, extend only works with another list. So if you have another list, it can be extended. But when it is going to be extended, it is going to add the number of values as present in the second list. So it will be added that many. So if you are doing append and you are adding 32 and 45, only one element is added. When you are extending and you are adding 32 and 45 as a list, then 2 size will be increased in the original list. So that is the difference between append and extend. So let's see the same example done once again. In this, just notice I have one list as 25, 56, 34. The second list as 45, 29. If I say A dot extend B, just notice what happens. It is going to add 45 and 29 as individual values within the same list. So that time 45 and 29 were coming as a single element. Here they are going as multiple elements. Now in this case, if I run the same for loop, my if part will not make any sense. Okay, basically I don't have any sub list within a list. So it is not going to work at all. It is just simply going to display all the values one after another. Next, insert function. Insert method allows you to add content in a list at any particular position, right? So if you specify the position and then the value, it will just look for that position and there it will insert, and all the values which were present next to it, they will be shifted one step up. So you can see here when I'm adding 45 at first position, my 45 got added at first position and 56 and 34 shifted to the next higher position. And as soon as this happens, the size of the list grows by 1. In the same way, if I say 0, 12 in the beginning, 12 will be inserted. When I say 100, 76, where 100 is not at all a position present in the list, in such situation, this value which is required to be added will be added at the end of list. So you can see 76 got added at the end of the list. And if you're inserting multiple values as list on a particular position, that is possible if you specify on first position, insert this list. This is going to be a sub list inserted on first byte. You are adding two values here. We are increasing the size of the list only by 1. So it has just moved from 6 to 7. In the same way, if I want to add a new list which contains only one element at 100th position, which is non-existing place, it is going to be added at the end of the list. Next is count. Count helps you to find out how many times a particular value is present. So if you simply write a.count 56, it will count how many times it is present. So it is, in this case, it is going to be 2. 23 is found to be 1, and 65 not at all present. So it is going to return 0. And then A is present only 0 times. Basically 65 and A, both of them are non-existing. So it is not going to show you any error. It will simply say that they are present 0 times. Okay. Next one is A is equal to 2356. Now, here you have to look at this count and index. In case of count, it is simply counting the number of times a value is present, whereas index is going to give you the position where it is found. So 23 is found at 0th position, 89 is found at 2nd position, 56 is found at 1st position, whereas 34 is not at all present, and that is where it will show you value error. Basically, it is not finding value matching with the value specified, and that is why it is going to show you value error. Next, we have remove and pop. Remove helps you to remove a particular value, right? So in this case, when I am saying remove 23, it will look for 23, and if it is found, it is simply going to be removed from the list. Whereas when I say a.pop, pop does two things. One, it removes the last position by default, and whatever is removed, that can be extracted from the method and stored in some other variable. For example, in this case, if I am saying a.pop, 76 is the last value which is getting extracted and dumped into D, whereas the original list will remain with 56, 89, and 56. 76 has gone out. Then I say, now best thing about pop is by default, it removes the last value in the list. But if it is used along with a parameter, numeric parameter, it is going to turn that as an index number. So it is going to remove the position first. So 89 will be removed and 89 will be dumped here. And if at all you try popping a position which is not at all present in the list, in such situation, it is going to show you index error, right? Whereas in case of remove, if you specify a value which is not found in the list, it will raise value error. So there is a difference between pop and remove. Remove simply removes a particular value from the list, and if the value is not found, it shows value error. Whereas pop does two things for you. One, it removes the last position or the position specified as index in the parameter, and at the same time it returns the value which got deleted, right? With pop, the exception raised is index error. With remove, the exception raised is known as value error. Next is reverse. Now, reverse helps you to reverse the content of a list. So if you say a dot reverse, it will simply reverse the content. You can see this particular list is completely reversed in this case. In the same way, you can see the second example where you have mixed content, it is reversed. Sorry, it is containing a string, it is reversed. When you have a mixed content, what happens? Just look at the content. It is just reversing 200, B, and 100. So it is going to be exactly the opposite sequence in which it is displayed. Okay. So you can have numeric content, you can have string content, you can have mixed content. It does not matter. Reverse works with all of them. Now let's talk about certain things do not work with non-numeric values. For example, min max will work with both string as well as numeric values, but some will not work. Some of names will not make any sense, and that is why it does not work, right? So in this particular case, we have all numerical values. So it is going to show you 23 as the minimum value, 98 as the maximum value, and total it will calculate. And then here we are extracting the content. We can sort this content, and if you want to sort it in reverse order, you just have to write a dot sort reverse is equal to true. Now sort does not work in tuple. Sort only works in list, because list is mutable data type and tuple is immutable data type, and that is why. But if at all you want to sort a tuple, you can use sorted, as Sangeeta was asking. Okay. So for I in A, last statement will display the content in the reversed order. You can see Zen, Jack, Bob, and Anu. So this is a string content which got reversed, right? And you see the content in the reversed order. This is another example where we have mixed content and slicing is exactly same as you have seen already in string as well as in case of tuple. So I am not going in detail with this. So move to the next. So let's talk about nested lists. In nesting of list, we can have a list inside another list. And for extracting it, you can simply say for I in A, and when you are saying print I, it is going to be displaying this kind of content, right? So the second example, if you look at here, we are trying to extract each and every value of it. So we are nesting loops here. So for I in A will extract 1, 2, 3 together, 3, 4, 5 together, and 5, 6, 7 together. When we'll say J in I from the sub list, the nested list is it is going to extract 1, 2, and 3. So it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and 5, 6, 7. In the same way, if you want to extract it with the help of slicing, you can do it this way also. For I in range len I, so first time I am displaying from 0 to 0 onwards up to 1, that is less than 1, and then 0 to 2, that is less than 2, and then 0 to 3, less than 3. So it is going to display the diagonal content from the nested list. Another example of nested list is this, where the inner portion of the list, that is inner side of the list, also is mutable. So this is the example which is illustrating that. So if you at all modify all the content of the first elements of the nested list, it will be modified as 1 will become 6, 3 will become 8, and 5 will become 10. And then the second loop, we are adding 5 to 0th element and 10 to second element. So it is going to 6 will become 11, and 3 will become 13, 8 will become 13, 5 will become 15, 10 will become 15, and 7 will become 17. So you can see that individually inside elements can also be modified because the list is mutable. So irrelevant of whether it is the outer list or it is inner list, both of them are going to be considered as mutable. Another example of nested list you can see here. Now in this particular thing, we are talking about only sorting. So if you look at the first sort, where we are saying a dot sort, how it is going to sort? It is just going to look for the first element of each of these. Wherever it will find first element matching, then it will look for second element. Otherwise, it will simply sort on the basis of first element. If there are two nested lists, which are containing the same first element, then it will see the second case. You can see when it is arranged 1, 2, 4, 7, 8. So it is sorted on the basis of first element only, because we do not have any of the first element which is of the repeated nature. Now next, within the list, the nested list also can be sorted. So if I say a2 dot sort, so in the new list a2 dot sort, that means this particular list is going to be sorted, and it will be shown to you as 145 instead of 415, and later on when you will display, it will be displayed as 145 as content of the entire list. So that means you can sort the entire nested list, or you can sort the inner list individually. Okay. Next, to find frequency, this is part of your curriculum. So you have a list in which you want to find out how many times each elements are present. So first of all, let's find out the minimum value and max value of the list and find out average. For average, we have just obtained sum and divided it by length, and then we are moving from minimum to maximum and displaying each element's presence, right? So if you have continuous numbers, there is no problem. Otherwise, you will be finding frequency 0 in between number of times. So for that, you have to put a if statement here, which will stop 0 frequency values. So here you can see the value form, and then it is a bar chart form. So it is text bar chart form. So where you are displaying the count of each value, presence of each value, and then at the end you're displaying the mean of this data. So this is done. Next is how to swap the first half of the list with second half of the list. You can simply make use of this logic. This is your traditional logic which you have been using, in which you are swapping the 0th element with the third element, first element with the fourth element, and second element with the fifth element. In this particular case, we are making use of traditional methods. So if you have to go Python way, it is much simpler. We can make use of slicing, and we can simply write one single statement, and the same thing can be done. Okay. So this method is the traditional one, and this is Python way of doing the same thing. Then this is another thing where we are swapping the adjacent elements. So we can write a simple logic where we are swapping AI with AI plus 1, and we run the loop in step of 2. This is another example where we are accumulating the sum with the previous values. So we can simply run a loop where we say ai plus equal to ai minus 1, where the loop not starting from 0, but it's starting from 1 to L. So it is accumulating all the values, and later on we are displaying. So you can see 11, 33, 66, 110, 165 are basically nothing but the values added with the previous values. Then to find min and max of first half as well as second half, we can just simply min of the first half and the max of the second half. We can simply make use of slicing for doing that, because slicing gives you result as list only. Slicing of list gives you result as list only. Then we can have first half, sum of first half and average of second. So that we can do simply by writing again slicing method, sum of 0 to L by 2, and for finding out the average, sum of L by 2 onwards divided by H. H is nothing but the size of the second half. Okay. Why I have calculated the second half size separately? Because odd and even values will have the second half and first half different. Now we move to dictionary. Dictionary is a mutable data type in Python in which both indexes as well as values can be changed. In other words, a dictionary is a collection which is unordered, changeable, and indexed. The content of dictionary, DICT, is enclosed inside curly braces. And the examples you can see, we can have any kind of example, but always you have to remember the keys will always be limited to the types I specified in the beginning, and values can be any data type. That means the values can not limit to integer, string, and float, but it can be list, it can be tuple, it can be another dictionaries also. Okay, this is a simple example where we have one dictionary assigned with roll number and name. Roll number as 10, name as Amar. We are the content will be displayed as it is, as we defined it. And then if we say mRNO, it is going to display only the value which is associated with RNO. And when I say mName, it is going to display value associated with name, right? So if at any point of time, if you write m marks is equal to 98, as it is not present, it is simply going to be added in the dictionary. So this is how a new content is added. Next, if we want to update the data in the dictionary, we can simply say mRNO plus equal to 2. And if I want to change the name, I can simply say mName equal to Amardeep. So it was originally Amar, now it has turned into Amardeep. So it can be changed like this. Then this is another example where we have 1, 16, 4, 10, and 315 as the content. So if I say for I in M, it is going to display all the values like this in keys separately and the values separately, right? So with the help of I in M, this is another example where we are simply increasing the values by 10%. So we are saying I in M, and MI is incremented by 10% more. So by multiplying it by 1.1, it is going to be 10% more. So you can see at the end, so 16 is turned into 17.6, 10 is changed to 11, and 15 is changed to 16.5. Next is keys and values. Now these are methods which can extract the set of basically set of values which are stored in dictionary. So if I say m dot keys, it is going to extract only the keys, which is roll number and name. When I say m dot values, it will extract only values, which is 10 and Amar. And if I simply say d colon m, so it is going to display the entire set with key value pair, right? So if I am saying v in m dot values, so it is just extracting values out of m. So that is 10 and Amar. So that will be extracted. And when I'll say print V, it is going to display only the values. Next is items. So when I say d dot items, you have pairs extracted as list. So basically dict dot items returns a list of key value pair, and these are tuple pairs, right? So in total it will be a list, but inside the list you will be having tuples for key and values. So when I say L is equal to d dot items, this is the content which is extracted, and when you run this as k comma values in d dot items, you can display both of them separately in one go. So this will become a tuple. K comma v you write, or you write round bracket k comma v, it will be the same meaning. So basically first part of d dot items will be key, and the second part of d dot items will be values. So when you are extracting it with the help of for loop, it is simply extracting key and values separately. Next, we have get as a method. Now, if I am saying get A and A key is present, it will simply display the content of from A key, that is 1. But if it is not found, if A is not found, it is going to display not found as the value. But in this case, as A key is present, it is going to display 1. If I am not specifying anything and the key is not found, d.get will give you none as the result. So if you say d.get B, B is found, so it is going to give you 2. If I say C and C is not found, C is not found in the dictionary, it is going to display the default message, which is not found over here. You can write anything over here. So if you do not write anything in the second parameter, the output will be none if it will not locate the key matching with the value which is specified. Next is update. Now update is somehow not a very useful thing, because the thing which you can do with update can be done otherwise also. So in this case, you can see we have a rec roll number 1 and name as Amit, and we have RU1 as name and Amit Sarin. So I want to update this information in my rec. So if I say rec.update with RU1, it is going to update that. So you can see here the output is 1 and Amit Sarin. Originally the name was Amit, it is changed to Amit Sarin. If I say RU2 is equal to phi colon 3500, it is going to simply add that as a new key value pair, right? So if it is found, it modifies. If it is not found, it is simply adding that as a content. So without this also, this can be done. So that is why I was saying that update is not a very useful feature. Without update also, we can do the similar kind of thing. So to modify a name from Amit to Amit Sarin, we can write this, and to modify phi, to add a new key value pair, we can simply write this statement. It will add that. So these two examples do identical things. Next is del. Del helps you to remove the content on the basis of key specified by you. So in this particular case, where you have one dictionary with the name member, if you say del member type, it will simply remove key value pair, which is type and guest, right? So after that, if you will display the content, it will be missing with that particular key value pair. And the same del can help you to remove dictionary completely. So if you write del member, it is going to remove dictionary completely, and it is no more will be taken as an identifier with you. So it is going to show an error if at all you try to display. Next is clear. Clear helps you to remove the content of dictionary without deleting the dictionary. So the difference between del and clear is del deletes that identifier completely from the namespace, whereas clear does not do that. Clear simply removes the content, and still your dictionary will be working with no element in it. So if you try displaying dictionary after that, it will be shown to you like this. Next is from keys. From keys. From keys help you to make a new dictionary with default values. For example, you have a list with 1, 2, 3, and you have a single value which is required to be assigned to all the keys. So you simply write d1 is equal to dict dot from keys k1 comma v1. So 1 colon 100, 2 colon 100 and 3 colon 100 will be assigned. A new dictionary will be made in this manner. If you specify K2 as tuple, then also it will work, where we are specifying all the values as undefined. So A will be undefined, B will be undefined, and C will be undefined. And if you do not specify values and if you still use from keys, in that case, all the values by default will be assigned as none. So for each key, you can see they are associated with none as the values. So from keys help you to have the default values assigned to keys in the beginning of the program. So if you want later on, they are supposed to be assigned with some meaningful values, you can do that. In the beginning, you can assign them with some default value. Then next is copy. Copy is basically simply copying the content from one dictionary to another. So you simply write d2 is equal to d1 dot copy, and the content will get copied. The same thing can be done simply by writing d2 is equal to d1 also. The same can be done simply by writing d2 is equal to d1 also. So you can see there is no difference in the output, whether you make use of d1 dot copy or you can do d2 is equal to d1. Next one is pop with the dictionary. So if you want model to be removed and model luxury to be stored in another variable, so you can simply say car.pop model. So it is going to remove model from here, and then you can display car model.luxury removed from dictionary. So if you do not write anything, the last, if you do not pass any parameter here, it will be taken as the last element of the last key value pair from the dictionary. Like in this case, if you are specifying a key which is not part of the dictionary, in such case, you will get key error. You can simply remove item. By item means the complete item. So if you say simply car.pop item, this last key value pair will be removed. So you can see fuel.petrol removed from number. Now here I would like to show you a difference. Look at this example. When I am saying pop and I am displaying M, it is displaying only its value. So at that time, the popped thing is only the value of that particular key. Whereas when I say pop item, I am getting key value pair, but this key value pair is nothing but a tuple. So this is the difference between pop and pop item. So when I say pop, it removes the key value pair, but dumps only the value matching with that key. Whereas when I say pop item, it pops key value pair as tuple out and save it in a separate variable or displayed on screen. So depending on what command you have written, so if you have written m is equal to car.pop item, it is going to be a tuple, which is going to be a key value pair removed from the dictionary. Next is adding new item or modifying existing. This you have already seen. So this is another example of similar kind, where if marks is present, it will be added with 10. And if marks key is not present, it will be simply making a new key value pair where marks will be key and 10 will be the value. This is alternative 1, and alternative 2 is basically this one, where instead of using if, you can use try except, right? So just look at this example first, where if marks not present in this, marks is present in this, then you add, and if it is not present, you simply assign. Whereas in the second case, we are not checking that way. We are simply trying to increment in marks by 10, but if it is a key error, you simply add marks as a new key value pair and assign it with 10 as the value. So you can see both the examples are going to do same thing, one using if statement, another using try except. Then set default is also one of the interesting methods where we return value from the specified key. So here, just look at this. Here we have name Azra and gender male. If I say dname, d.setDefault, name you have to extract. And if name is not found here, it should show you a message as name not available. In the same way, you say DOB. It will look for DOB as the key. If DOB is not found, it should display a message as date not available. In the same way, it will look for gender. And if gender is found, it is going to display male. If gender is not found, it is going to display, it will display none, right? Just like earlier examples, right? So in mobile case, it will display none. In DOB case, it will display date not available. So it is entirely up to you whether you want to give the customized message or you want to take the default as none. Okay, so set default helps you to extract the content from the dictionary. Min-max, you can extract min-max as a pair or individual key or individual values depending on what command you are specifying. So if I say max d.items, in such situation, it will just look for the key value pair, and in that specifically key, that is P4 with 56 will be displayed. Min will be P1 with 65. When I say max D and min D, it is just going to look for only key. So it is going to be P4 and P1. If I say d.values and I try to find out max out of it, it is going to be 65 and min out of it will be 34. Finding frequency of values. This is a similar example, what we did in case of our list. So what we are doing here, we are trying to make a empty dictionary and we make a minimum value out of t, that is tuple of values, and maximum value of tuple of values. So tuple of values will be 65, 30, 50, 60, 30, and 10. So it will find out min as 10 and max as 60. And then by running a loop, we try to find out how many times a particular value is present. If it is present more than 0 times, then only it is going to be added in the dictionary. So in the last, you'll find out a dictionary with key value pair as 10 found 1 times, 30 found 2 times, 50 found 1 time, and 60 found 2 times. Okay. Alternative 2 is very simple. Instead of doing that much, we simply take out the d dot values as tuple from there, and we take out key value pairs. And if v not in df, there is no need to count. And if it is, if v not in df, then there is need to count. If it is repeated value, there is no need to count. So that is how you will be getting the same result from this also. This is a shorter method in comparison to the earlier method. So earlier method was this and the new method is this. Next, how to use sorted with dictionary. You can just simply say L1 is equal to sorted D. In this case, the data will be sorted only on the basis of keys, and the result will be in the form of a list. If I say L2 is equal to dict of sorted d dot items, so basically it will not produce a dictionary, but you can convert it into a dictionary by writing, typecasting it to DICT. So when you are saying sorted d dot items, it is going to sort it on the basis of its keys, but you will be having its values along with it, right? So last example where we are simply sorting the values. So values will be extracted out of it and values will be sorted, and it will produce a list of values in sorted order. So if at all you want this sorting to be done in the reverse order, you just have to add another parameter as reverse is equal to true. Now, dictionary functions which are supported are len, max, min, sorted, type, clear, copy from keys, get, items, keys, set default, update values. And with this, we end today's session. It was 1 hour 55 minutes session. And with this, I end the session. I would like to thank both my support members, Mohitendra Day and Mr. Rajesh Sethi, who have been working in background along with me and supporting to make this particular program successful. And I would like to thank all of you. I had a very, very good response of Meet Hash 2. We had almost 248 participants in this particular meet, which is the highest number in meet which I have conducted till now. So I have tried up to 230. Today's was the maximum.